Welcome, friends, to this session on decision making. And in this session, I would be taking the XAT 2017 decision making questions. And I would be taking only those questions which are based on decision making and not on logical reasoning. Because if you have a look at the 2017 XAT paper, there are almost, I think, let me check the number of questions. There are roughly 24, 25 questions, I think, because we had 24 questions in the verbal part, 21 questions, right? So there are 21 questions in the DM section, and out of these 21, there are a few questions that come in the LR category. I would not be solving those. Apart from these, I would be solving all the core decision making questions. Now, people, before we go to the actual questions, I must tell you that ZAG decision making is relatively easier in the sense that it does not involve too much of logical reasoning and critical reasoning. In fact, it takes the elements of both LR and and NCR, the basic reasoning elements of both LR and CR. So not very intricate and complicated, but you need to be slightly logical and you must learn to evaluate the options critically, and that is how you will arrive at the right answer. Now, let me tell you something. The first thing is that decision making is analogous to critical reasoning. The way what do we have in critical reasoning? In critical reasoning, we have a set of evidence which we call premise. Everyone who has solved critical reasoning knows that in critical reasoning we have a set of evidence which we call premise, and we also have some kind of hidden assumptions which are not visible to us, but they do have some kind of impact on the final outcome. So critical reasoning questions have premise, they have assumptions, and basically you are asked something, right? You are asked something, and based on what you are asked, you have to accordingly look at the premise and the assumptions and then try to find the answer. So critical reasoning elements are there in your decision making questions. And also you must understand, people, that every DM question has some kind of missing thing, and that is the reason why you have suspense in decision making questions, and you must try to resolve that suspense by taking the right decision, right? So what is the first thing? DM is analogous to critical reasoning, and therefore you must have a critical reasoning approach to the decision making questions. And secondly, I have mentioned here, you should focus what is given, what is asked in the question. See, this is very important, people. Many a time while you're picking the answer, you just lose track of what has been asked in the question. For example, there are four players, A, B, C, D, and they all have suffered some kind of injustice. And the question says, how would you basically resolve the injustice suffered by the entity B? So the question is not about A or C or D or collectively, but only about B. So you must answer, or you must choose the options based on what is the best justification for what has been asked. Many a time we make the mistake of basically overlooking the question given to us, and we go with our own understanding of the passage. So people, please understand, whatever is given in the passage, focus on that. You must answer the question and not what you have in mind. And secondly, you must answer the question keeping in mind the evidence and also sometimes the unknown variables. There could be many unknown variables which, because it is not known to us, might have some kind of impact on the question that is being asked, particularly when it comes to ethical matters. In ethical matters, because the entire facts are not there before you, how would you come at the right answer? You can come at the right answer only by taking into account the unknown variables. The unknown variable is x, so if x is true, then this is the right decision. If x is false, then this is the right decision. Correct? So people, please understand that you have to first note down the facts, understand what is exactly asked of you, and then accordingly you have to pick the option. And finally, I would say that you have to compare the options and evaluate their relative merits. It's quite possible that all the options from 1 to 5, they all are very good options, but going by the merit of, or I would say going by the relative merit of the options, you might say 3 is the best of all. Why? Because it is ethically correct and it does justice to everyone and also provides the solution to the problem. So you have to ensure that the options all might look very correct, but you have to go by the relative merits, and the options that has the highest number of merits and is basically helping you answer the question is basically the best choice. Again, this is all theory, people, and decision making questions just like RC cannot be discussed in theory. You must take the question to have better understanding of the concept and how to approach such questions. Let's go and take the first question. Let's take the first question here. It says Vimla is the domestic help of Shreya and her neighbor Padma. So now the entities are being introduced in the first sentence. Vimla is the domestic help of Shreya and her neighbor Padma. Both live in a posh gated community. Vimla not only cleans the house but also cooks for both the families. Shreya treasures Vimla ever since she joined her family 4 years ago. Vimla joined Padma's household this year. So basically, we have Vimla, and then there are two entities, Shreya and Padma, and there is a kind of relationship between them. Now, the question says one evening, Shreya, trying to pay the pizza delivery, was surprised to find. Now, who is Shreya? Shreya is the one who cherishes or who treasures Vimla, and she has been employed for 4 years, right? So you must keep that in mind while reading the question. So it says here that one evening, Shreya, trying to pay the pizza delivery, was surprised to find a few 500 rupee notes missing from her purse that she was sure were there earlier. She wants to ascertain if someone has stolen the money. Now she wants to ascertain if the money has been stolen or not. On reflecting, the following facts crossed her mind. So she's just reflecting, thinking about the issue. In the last 1 year, Shreya had noticed cash missing on 3 occasions. So 3 occasions the cash was missing. Shreya's husband also shared that a few notes were missing from his wallet, though he was not sure if they were stolen. So, husband also notices a few things. Her eldest son had been pestering. Her eldest son had been pestering Shreya for more pocket money for the last 3 weeks, right? In the last few days, he had stopped doing so. So, this is very important piece of evidence. And in the last 1 year, Vimla had received 6 mails from her family asking for money. So this is again one more incident that we have. Her eldest son's expenditure had gone up in the last few days. So basically, you have Shreya and you have Vimla and her eldest son, and then Shreya and her husband are in the same category, like they are basically suspecting someone of stealing money. And then the two people on whom they can cast doubt, one is Vimla and the other is the eldest son of Shreya. So we can say, let's say it is Q, correct? So which of the following combinations of the above statements would decrease the likelihood that Vimla has stolen the money? So basically you have to, uh, through the options, you have to show that Vimla has not stolen the money. You have to decrease what? The likelihood. So you have to basically make this person the culprit, right? That means the option which takes focus away from Vimla would be the best choice. Let's look at option 1. In the last 1 year, Shreya had noticed. So fine, this is the problem. It is covering the problem. And 3 says her eldest son had been pestering for money, for pocket money, more for last 3 weeks. In the last few days, he had stopped doing so. So basically, 1 and 3 could be a good combination because in the last 1 year, so yes, Shreya had noticed cash missing and her eldest son had been pestering. So at least 1 and 3 taken together take the focus away from Vimla. Let's look at 1 and 4. So 1 is constant. 4 says in the last minute Vimla had received 6 mails. But this is basically blaming Vimla because if we take 1 and we take 4, basically this will cast more doubt on Vimla. So this is the option that goes out. Her eldest son's expenditure has gone up in the last few days. So in the last 1 year, Shreya had noticed cash missing, and so this also is as good as option 1. 2 and 4, again this goes out because the way we had crossed option 2, we must cross option 4. Why? Because this basically increases the likelihood that Vimla stole the money. So 1 and 3 are there, 2 and 4 are out. Option 5 says that her eldest son had been pestering Shreya for pocket money for the last 3 weeks. In the last few days, he had stopped doing so. Her eldest son's expenditure had gone up in the last few days. Now, if you compare 3 and 5, see what is given in 1 is already known to us. Understand, people? That is what we do in critical reasoning. What is given in 1? The statement 1 says Shreya had noticed cash missing. But then this question statement is already saying that one evening Shreya trying to pay pizza delivery was surprised to find few hundred rupees missing, and she wanted to ascertain on reflecting the following facts. So basically, if she wants to ensure that yes, that Vimla is not or is not to be blamed, then that blame must go away from Vimla to someone else. So statement 3 says that the eldest son had been pestering for money, and the eldest son's expenditure had gone up in the last few days. So if I combine 3 and 5, I have the strongest evidence that the son is to be blamed, and take and Vimla is not. Option 5 is the best choice. Let's take the next question now. The next question says Padma discovered some money missing from her purse. So now you have Padma. So now you have Vimla and Padma's equation in this question. Padma discovered some money missing from her purse. She suspects that Vimla has stolen it. She suspects, this is very important. It is still a doubt. She wants to prevent the stealing from happening again and is contemplating the following actions. She should let it pass since to err is human. But if she lets it pass, then she would not be able to prevent. So whichever choice has option 1 in it may not be the right choice. This is the way of quickly eliminating the answer. Now you have these 3 choices with you. She should confront Vimla and tell her that she knows the truth and the act is unpardonable regardless of her past service, and she is thinking of terminating her services. Now she wants to prevent, right? She wants to prevent, and she at the same time suspects, and she tells that she knows the truth. I find it I find it rather awkward. On the one hand, you have that she's suspecting that Vimla, and then she goes and confronts Vimla, and she says she knows the truth, as if she's just trying to pretend. Then how can she terminate based on some kind of false suspicion or some kind of uncertainty? So again, two is not a very good choice. So I would not keep two with in my choices, because it is contradicting what is given in the passage. She's suspecting, and then she tells she knows the truth, and she wants to basically prevent her from stealing. At the same time, she says he will terminate. It's not very clear. It's not a good decision. Now the option fourth is the only choice, and it's quite possible that this could be the best choice, but I must verify. She should tell Vimla that she's aware someone has stolen. Now see, this is, she's aware someone has stolen, so this basically justifies that she suspects. There must be some kind of, matching of the statements. So she should tell that she's aware someone has stolen the money from the house, but she's not sure who she is. She should directly ask Vimla if she has stolen the money. Yes, that way she can, come to know the truth, promising her no punishment. And maybe it's quite possible that she might confess or tell the truth. She should share with Vimla that neighbors think Vimla has stolen the money. She doesn't, but is interested in finding the truth. So this way she can tactfully get the truth from Vimla, and thereby prevent her from stealing from and prevent the stealing from happening again. So we have option 4 as the best choice. And how long did we take? How much time did we take to arrive at the answer? Not more than 30 seconds. Right? Just by using the statements, we have quickly come to the right answer. So an easy question, I would say. Let's take the next one. Let's take the third question. It says Genius Consulting is a boutique consulting firm started by Shirish Balram Rahman. So we have 3 people and Xavier. Okay, so we have 4 people. Genius Consulting is a boutique consulting firm started by these 4 people from these are from a Premier B school. They committed themselves to abide by 2 principles. The first principle is not to indulge in any kind of unethical and share earnings equally. So these are the 2 principles. The first is don't indulge in any kind of unethical practices, and the second thing is that you should share the earnings equally. So these are the 2 principles or the code of conduct with which they have to abide. Genius Consulting could not get a significant project till the following year, when they managed a big one after Rahman's father referred their firm to his top management. Convinced of the team's talent, following an impressive presentation, the top management awarded them the project, even though 6 other referred teams made presentations. So basically, Rahman's father referred their firm to his top management. So Rahman's father referred uh, their firm basically means the firm of these 4 guys, to his top management, and convinced of the team's talent, they were awarded the uh, they were awarded the project, though there were other people who had made the presentations. That means there were other participants as well. The day following the presentation, they met to decide the way forward for the organization. Which of the following choices would be most appropriate for Genius Consulting? So basically, we know the facts. What is the fact? That there are 4 people, S, B, R, and X, who had come together, and they have started a consulting firm, and they have 2 principles, A and B, with which they have promised to abide. And then Rahman's father refers uh, these people to his higher management, and they back the project because of impressive presentation and not because of the reference of Rahman's father. So Rahman's father might have played some role, but eventually the passage says that there was an impressive presentation. So this is very important, because if it had not been impressive and still they had got the project, then we would have said that it is Rahman's father who is basically pulling the strings and not the talent of the team that is getting them the project. But it is the impressive presentation that is given, and therefore they back the project. Now, basically, which of the following choices would be the most appropriate? Let's have a look at the choices. Number one says, as this project violates both the principles. Now, how is it violating both the principles, people? I mean, is it violating both the principles? I don't think so, because I think they are ethical, and the sharing part has not even come as yet. So I don't think so. One is the right choice. Due to the violation of the first principle, it is not unethical. See, if Rahman's father is referring them, see, reference is one thing, and after reference, proving your merit is quite another thing. So I don't think that the violation of the second principle is there even in this case. So this goes out. They should take up the project. Yes, of course. Why should not? They should take up the project because the impressive presentation won them this. The referral scheme is it's quite common everywhere in all companies. So just by getting the reference, you don't get selected. You have to perform in the interview, and these people give a very impressive presentation, and therefore they should, I think, take up the project. Further, since Rahman had agreed to equal sharing, he should not enter, right? Because the second principle is that they will go by equal sharing. Just because reference has come doesn't mean that Rahman should get more share in the earnings. So I think three is a very logical choice, makes sense. Let's have a look at fourth one. They should take up the project as the referral helped them survive. It's not the referral that helped them survive, people. It is basically their skills, their impressive presentation. Referral was just the knocking of the door, but it is the impressive presentation that opened the door for them. So four is not correct. They should take up the project, but in order to violate the principle, Rahman can be, the finder's fee is not required. Why should they? Because the second principle says they should share the earnings equally, and just because the referral has come does not mean that they should pay Rahman the finder's fee, because this B, second principle or second code, must have been decided keeping all the considerations into mind. So again, 5 is not the right choice, 3 is the best choice, the right decision. So we have taken 3 questions, and we have found that all the 3 questions were easy questions. They were not very difficult. And if you go by what is given, and if you go by the proper reasoning, I think you can come at the right answer. Let's take the next question. This is slightly a longer one, but let's see what is the question all about. Mrs. Biswas was to retire in 1 year after serving in the construction department of the Gujarat government for more than 30 years. So Mrs. Biswas has served where? In the construction department. This is very important detail. For more than 30 years. After retirement, she wanted to spend her retired life along with Mr. Biswas, a retired school teacher in small town in Kerala. So they want to go to Kerala. They had 2 children, both studying in Bengaluru. The Biswases wished to construct a house in Kerala with their life savings. So they wished to construct a house with their life savings. The couple gathered information about owning a house in Kerala. They had 4 options. So these are the 4 options that they had. Buy a fully furnished house from a big developer, okay. Buy a semi-furnished house and then furnish it. Get a local unregistered contractor. She understands unregistered contractor to construct the house. And the lady has worked in the construction department. So this kind of detail must be kept in mind. Mr. Biswas, with inputs from the family, could supervise the construction of a house back in the Kerala by employing the best material. Fine. So these are the choices they have. Now the question is very important. It says here, which option would ensure the best control of quality of construction? So which option would ensure the best control of quality? Not the best quality, but the best control of quality. So you can control the quality best when either you go for a big developer, or you basically, because unregistered contractor I doubt would provide you quality. So the third option would not be my choice, because unregistered contractor are not the ones on whom I should rely for quality or for control of quality. See, if 3 goes out, then 5 also goes out, because you say any of the options will equally ensure. No, not all the options will equally ensure. So either we have the fourth option would ensure the best quality, that is Mr. Because it says you want to not see, understand, Which of the option would ensure the best control of quality and not the best quality? See, there are there are two different ways of phrasing the idea. Best control on quality or best quality. So when you directly take it from a builder, you might get the best quality, but you will not get the best control on quality. That means you want to do it the way you want. And therefore, if you look at all the conditions, then it's quite possible that fourth could be the right choice, because Mr. Biswas with inputs from the family could supervise, and when he supervises, he's in control of the entire thing, and therefore fourth makes complete sense. Because the first option, he has no control, he will get the way things are. So it might ensure quality, but it will not ensure control of quality. So with the second option, the fourth is the best. A simple question, provided you have kept in mind the question. See, I told you at the start, you have to keep in mind what has been asked to you. So again, language has come into picture. The best quality is one thing, the best control of quality is quite another thing. Again, a simple question, if you have kept your eyes open. Four questions have been done so far. Let's go to the next one. The next question says, which of the following additional information, if true, would improve the chances of third option being preferred? So the third option says that get a local and registered contractor. So this we have to prove to be true. Would prove which of the following additional information, if true, would improve the chances of the third option being preferred. So you have to improve the chances of third option, and which of these would improve that chance. So you have to basically consider this and point number 3 to arrive at the right answer, such that point number 3 is strengthened by these options. The Biswases want to select furniture on their own, but option 3 is unregistered contractor. What has furnishing to do with that? I doubt if it is going to strengthen. So for 29, fifth cannot be the right choice. Mr. Biswas cannot stay back alone to supervise the construction. So if Mr. Biswas cannot stay back alone, then Mrs. Biswas has to come together. I mean, she has worked in the construction department, right? But still, will it? We can check this, but will it ensure? I mean, we know that Mrs. Biswas has worked in the construction department, but what about her competency of monitoring things? We don't know. We don't know whether she was a very good, uh, she was very good at it or not. So we can just hold on fourth for a while. Big developers are less open to changes. So this is the problem with the big developers. You must strengthen the third option. By finding the weakness in the other party, you're not strengthening the third guy. I hope you're getting this. By finding the weakness in the other party, you're not strengthening the chances of the third party. So we cannot keep this. Among local property holders, the contractor in the third option enjoys a good reputation. Now this is better than what you see in 4. Among the local party holders, the contractor in the third option, who is that? The unregistered. He enjoys reputation, and therefore I think it's highly likely that he would do a good job. So this would definitely, it's like strengthening the argument. If you have done the critical reasoning kind of thing, it's like strengthening the argument. So if I say improve the chances, means strengthen the chances or strengthen the argument. 2 is the best choice. It does that. A simple question, you cannot miss on such questions. You have solved 5 questions without much difficulty. Let's go and take the next one. The 30th question says, the Kerala government recently announced policy in case of major quality infringement, the builder will pay penalty of 50% of the price. So if there is major quality infringement in the construction, then the builder will pay penalty of 50% of the price. In addition to the price of the house to the client within a year of choice, within a year of notice. So the builder will pay to the client, the one who is getting it built. Rank in ascending order the option that would ensure control of quality. See, you have to go by control of quality, right? That means you have to, now this is slightly of a higher difficulty, but we can try solving this. It says that the builder will pay penalty of 50%, and you have to ensure the control of quality, right? And you have to rank in ascending order. Ascending order basically means what? The least likely followed by the more likely and then the most likely. See, many a time we forget these kind of things. So in ascending order basically means the lowest will come first followed by the higher ranking. So from low to high. So the moment you see option 4, it says here that option 4 is going to give you the highest control on quality of control of quality through 1. So let's have statement. Keep 1 at the lowest control on quality. because the fact that there is a penalty of 50% will definitely motivate the contractor to give me a good this. So so I think one is not the right. At least I should not say that that is the lowest chances. I will not keep one as my first choice. One definitely can give me the highest this. Now let's compare. Let's look at two. Two says that two says that it is going to give me the. Now look at 2, 3, 4, and 1. Again we have the problem. If one is giving you the highest likelihood that this is the best choice for control, then how can you keep two at the lowest? Because one and two are almost the same thing. One does not have furnishing into it, and two has furnishing into it. So I doubt if one and two can be so apart when they are almost the same thing. So by this reasoning, I would not take into account two. Now option 3 says 3, 1, 2. Now 1 and 2 has been kept together. 1 and 2 has been kept together. But option 4th would not give me the highest. See, option 4 says that I should get inputs from the family and supervise. In that case, if there is any kind of quality infringement, then Mr. Biswas is not going to gain much out of it. So 4th again would not be the best choice. It says 3, 1, 2, 4. It says 4, 3, 2, 1. It says 4, 1, 2, 3. Now 4th says you will have the highest control on quality. 3 says you will have the lowest control on quality. So again we have the same thing, control of quality. Point number 3 says get a local unregistered contractor to construct a house and furnish it. This will definitely be the least probability. See, I can easily the answer by picking, because one has been eliminated, two has been eliminated. We know that one is option 3, the other is option 4 and option 4. So if I supervise myself, do I have the lowest chance? Or if I give it to an unregistered contract, do we have a lowest chance? See, you have to rank in ascending order of control of quality. So the least control of quality would be if I do it myself or if I get it done from the other. And the third party, he's an unregistered contractor. So I would always say that in 3 I have the lowest control on quality. In 4th, then I am. It is followed by number 1. Why? Because the reputed developer is in any ways better than an unregistered developer. So 3 must come before 1 and 2. In none of the options we have 3 coming before 1 and 2. See, understand, you have unregistered developer in 3. You have a big developer in point number 1 and in point number 2. So if I have to arrange in ascending order, that means the lowest control on quality, I would always keep 3 before 1 and 2. And therefore, only in option 3 we have 3 before 1 and 2. 3 is the best choice. We'll take the next question. Now let's analyze this question. The question says here, a pastor had eaten at restaurant with his troop of 10 and his family. I think a pastor is a priest in Christianity. This is what I know. A pastor had eaten at restaurant with his troop of 10 and his family. It is a norm to tip the waiter at about 20% of the waiter's salary. It is a norm to tip the waiter, and 20% of the salary of waiters comes from these tips. However, while paying the bill, the pastry crossed out the automatic 18% tip charge for parties of more than 8 and wrote, I give 10%. I give God 10%. Why do you get 18%? Above his signature. The chagrined waitress at the restaurant posted a photo of this on the social media. She was subsequently fired. So understand, it is a norm to tip the waiter. Norm basically means a custom but not a mandate. Understand, there is a difference between a norm, which is considered normal, and a difference between what is legally a mandate. So when you have meal in a restaurant, you have to pay the bill, that's a mandate. But whether you give 10% of the entire bill or 20% or 30% of the entire bill as tip to the waiter or the waitress is basically your prerogative. So that's why it's a norm. And the first mistake that the waitress made was basically putting it on the social media. Because though the pastor has given you only 10% or whatever percent he has given you, you should accept it gleefully, because it is not the bill that he is not paying, and therefore you have to put it on the social media. Now, the first thing is the waitress made a mistake by putting the photo on the social media. And secondly, she was subsequently fired for violating company's policy on customer privacy. So this was, I think, too harsh, because immediately firing is not the right thing. This would have been understandable if the restaurant had not posted just 2 weeks ago a customer receipt that was complimenting them. So restaurants also to be blamed. Why? Because when the customer complimented them, then they had posted the compliment on the social media. But when the customer writes this kind of thing and the waitress posts on the social media, then basically she is fired. So the first thing is the waitress should not have done this on her own. She did not have the rights to go and post things on the social media, because she is not the owner of the restaurant. She's not the authorized person. So this is the mistake made by the waitress. But was firing the right kind of decision? Let's see. Social media and social activists came heavily upon the management's ambivalent stand and the firing of the waitress. In response, the company posted a note on their social media page defending their actions. This quickly drew 10,000 comments, mostly negative, to which the management started responding by posting the same note over and over again. There were also accusations of the company deleting negative comments, and so basically this created a big ruckus. Who was the who and what is the main cause? Now, see, people, the main cause in this entire thing is not the poor waitress. The main cause basically is that the firing was done by the management. I mean, this is the problem, because once the firing was done, then basically the activists and the social media came heavily upon the management's ambivalent stand and the firing of the waitress. So had not they, I mean, if they had not fired the waitress, I think this would not have happened, which has happened in the subsequent lines. So which is the main cause? The root cause is not the pastor, of course, and the waitress is not, I mean, violating customer privacy, because 2 weeks ago the positive compliment was posted on the social media, so that is not violation of privacy. Then how can this be violation of privacy? So 2 is again not a justified statement. The management for not taking action against the pastor, I think the pastor should not come into picture, because it is his. The management for giving out disproportionate punishment. Yes, it's a disproportionate punishment. Why? Because the waitress might have done something, and though she was not the authorized person, but then it did she deserve firing from the organization? I think this is the right choice. This is an easy question. The management removing negative comment, that is fine. You know, this is, I mean, everyone does it. So we are the main cause, the root cause, and fourth is the root cause. Easy question, I would say. Let's go and take the next one. The 32nd question says, the downward spiral continued for the restaurant as the management persisted in defending their actions and argued with those who criticized them. By the following week, the original post had generated over 18,000 negative comments. Which of the following is the best way forward for the restaurant at this juncture? So there were 18,000 negative comments, and we have to find which of the following was the best way forward. So what could be the best way? I think if they reinstate the waitress, I think that would solve the problem. Apparently, this seems to be the best resolution. Unconditionally restore the waitress, of course, this looks good, to her former position and salary on the ground that she will never be at fault in the first place. Okay, so this can be, a good choice. Apologize to and reinstate the waitress. So this is better. Why? Because you have to first apologize, because you have done some kind of injustice, and by doing so, you are showing that yes, you are a humble person, and you do have this kind of consideration. Apologize to and reinstate the waitress and ask her to apologize to her breach again. But then breach of customer rights and post the police on social media. Fine, even two can be a good choice, right? Because there was a mistake on her behalf as well. So this apology is not a wrong thing, because if the management can apologize to the waitress, and then I think the management should expect the same from the waitress, because there was a breach of customer privacy, and you know, I mean, in the sense that the customer has written something, and that was put on the social media. I mean, so two also looks a good choice. Reinstate the waitress provided she apologizes. No, that is again a very very arrogant way of resolving the problem. So three is not a good choice. Reinstate the waitress if and only if she approves. This is a conditional resolution, and again not a good choice. Recruit two waitresses at a higher wage. No, the problem is not that the waitress is missing or there is lack of waitresses. The problem is basically there was injustice meted out to a person. So you have to first basically ensure that that injustice is undone. So this is not the undoing of the justice, undoing of the injustice. So again, fifth is not the right choice. So I have option 1 and 2 by the first round of shortlisting. Unconditionally restore the waitress, looks good to her former position and salary on the ground that she never fault at fault in the first place. Now see, it's not that she was never at fault. I mean, we cannot say that the waitress was never at fault. She did do something which was wrong, and that is becoming the authority to post something on the social media. She was not the authorized person. There was violation of customer privacy, definitely. So she has to apologize. I mean, she should apologize rather. So 2 is better than 1, and therefore 2 is a better choice. Again, a simple question, not very difficult, I would say, manageable. Let's go and take the next one. Let's read this question now. A college campus with a population of around 2,000, of whom 200 were children, 1,200 people between 15 and 45 years, 500 people between 45 and 65, and around 100 people more than 65 years. Right? So this looks very much like a question of quantitative ability, but still let's have a college campus with a population of around 2,000, of whom 200 were children. So almost 10% children, 1,200 people between 15 and 45 years, 500 between 45 and 65, and 100 between. So almost you can say that 10 plus 5, 15% of a good number of people are more than 65, 100 more than 65, and 200 were children. So out of 2,000, 300 is more than 65 years of, either they are children or more than 65 years of age. The campus has 2 big gates opening out the city. There are 400 cars and 500 motorbikes inside the campus. Okay. The residents relied on these vehicles to visit the city located 10 kilometers away. So, fine. Now, with the land within the campus becoming scarce, the chief administrator found the growing demand for parking lot difficult to handle. So, the land is becoming scarce and there is demand for parking. The faculty, staff, and students wanted increased parking space. It's a college campus, right? So, they wanted increased parking space. In the past 6 years, the parking requirement on campus had doubled. The administrator found it inappropriate to construct parking lots from the students' fee, even though those with vehicles may not complain about it. So, he thought that I would not create a parking lot, correct? But they wanted parking space. So there is one constraint given to. Besides creating parking problems, the administrator felt that these vehicles added to the pollution and made. So parking is not the only reason. There is also some more problem, and that is it added to the pollution and made residents less responsible toward each other, right? So there is also the problem of pollution, which the CA has in mind. The risk to the children and elderly because of overspeeding was menacing. So again, it's not the parking issue, but also the risk to children and the pollution thing. Therefore, the CA wanted to reduce the number of vehicles in the campus. So he wants to reduce the number of vehicles in the campus to overcome this kind of problem. Many faculty members, students, and staff members, however, felt that demand for more parking space was natural as vehicles were required to go to the market. So parking space was required because vehicles were there and vehicles were required. So the problem is that on the one hand, there are people who want parking space because they need the vehicle. Second, on the other hand, the CA, the administrator, says that there is not enough parking space. And secondly, if he doesn't want to build parking space because parking space is not the only problem. The other problem is that it is a menace and the pollution thing. So we have again a kind of conflict of interests between two parties, the one who wants the parking space and the other party that does not want to create or build a new parking space, because there are other problems that are along with the parking space that will come along with the parking space, the problems of pollution and the problem of overspeeding and other things. So they also told the CA that the elderly sick was read on the vehicle. The vehicle is required. I mean, this is what we know. After listening to all stakeholders, that is the student and everyone, the CA wanted to solve these problems. So what is the best, and also wanted the campus to remain green. I mean, green campus, non-polluted campus, right? So what is the best solution? So everyone's interest must be kept in mind. Let's have a look at the options and try to find the one that is the best resolution. Levy extra fee on students to construct additional parking lots inside the campus. But see, the parking lot is not a problem. I mean, that anyways can be done. The problem is the pollution and the overspeeding. So that is not resolved by option one. So I doubt if option one could be the right choice. Let all vehicles be parked in a college managed space outside. Now this is good because the menacing and the speeding is happening inside the campus, and if you have a space outside the campus, then within the campus the pollution would not be there much, the menacing and the overspeeding will not be there, while two battery operated vehicles handle. So battery operated basically will take care of the pollution thing. So two looks a very good choice, far better than one. Bring all stakeholders to the discussion. This is not a decision, people. This is the process of decision. The action needs, the action should satisfy the stakeholders. But how are you satisfying in three? You will satisfy only when you come to a decision. So there is no decision in the third statement. How can you say that we are satisfying? Three goes out, just as one has gone out. To reduce carbon footprints, only pool vehicles should be allowed to operate inside the campus. Okay, to reduce carbon footprints, only pool vehicles should be allowed to operate inside the campus. But what about people's, see, understand this. The other, see, you want to basically satisfy all the stakeholders. So you might allow only pool vehicles inside the campus, but what about the people who have their own vehicles? It says that the CA wanted to reduce the number of camp. Many faculty and students, staff members, however, felt that demand for more parking space was natural as vehicles were required to go to the market, railway station, airport. How can you take a pooled this to the airport? Understand? See, within the campus, the problem is fine. Pooled vehicles inside the campus, but people who want to go outside the campus, they would use their vehicles, and those vehicles have to be parked. So, what is the solution for that? This is fine. Inside the campus, the problem has been taken care of. But what about people's vehicles who want those vehicles with them because they might have to go to the airport, to the railway station, to the bus terminal, to the marketplace? In that case, can they have pooled vehicle? No. So again, 4 is not providing the solution. Charging the fee is not good because first one has gone out, so 5 also will go out. Option 2 is the best choice because it takes care of all the things. Firstly, you have battery operated vehicles and 2 battery operated. So the menacing and overspeeding is taken care of, the pollution is taken care of. And you have all the vehicles parked outside the college campus. That means, okay, the vehicles are outside. So at least within the campus, you can have less pollution, and outside the campus, people can park their vehicles. And they can go outside the campus through battery operated vehicles. So it resolves all the problem and it's a good solution. 2 is the best choice. Let's go and take the next question. This question says, which of the following would be the best option to increase revenue, decrease carbon footprint and satisfy all stakeholders? So you want to increase revenue, decrease carbon footprint and satisfy all the stakeholders. So there is the money factor as well now. Make substantial collection from vehicles entering or leaving campus and construct a parking lot outside the campus. So it sounds quite good. Vehicles coming and entering the campus, you can take, see people, see if there is parking lot outside, then people would avoid you know uh, coming inside the campus. But if the vehicles are coming inside the campus because of some other problem, then definitely we can, we can charge them and collect money, and thereby we can benefit out of it. So this can be a good choice. Levy extra fee on the students and build extra parking. And this is not going to ensure carbon footprint, right? So 2 goes out. I mean, you have to decrease the footprint, right? And you are right. So this is not going to be a resolution. Bring all stakeholders to table and let them. Again, you have basically you're making the same mistake which you made in the previous question. It is not coming to a decision. To reduce the carbon footprint, only pool vehicles be permitted on campus. But what about increasing the revenue? So 4 is also not in the line. Let all vehicles be parked in a managed space outside the campus while battery operated vehicles parked. What about the money part? You want to increase the revenue. So how is it going to increase the revenue? You are giving everything for free here. So again, 5th is not talking about the revenue. So what is asked, the option must answer. And this is not doing so. 1 is the only, in fact, this is the easiest of all questions. 1 is the best choice and the only choice. Right? So far we have taken 10 questions, and out of these 10 questions, barring 1 or 2, I think 8 could have been easily solved out of 10. 2 even if you got wrong, no problem. I mean, this was not a difficult. I don't think so. DM is a very difficult section. We are arriving at the answers. We are arriving at the best answers. If you're not confident, you can leave the question. So even if you solve only 7 questions, you leave the 3, you have 7 marks, and we can still solve a few more questions. And the cutoff does not go. I mean, if you get a 2-digit score in this section, I think it's a decent score, above 90 percentile, definitely. Now let's look at the questions from 35 to 37. Read the case first. Giri Rajan, an unemployed youngster from some place in Tamil Nadu, visited Singapore where his school friend worked as software engineer. In Singapore, Giri Rajan realized that there were a lot of Tamils in Little India area. He soon assessed that there were very few restaurants serving authentic Tamil food and decided to set up a restaurant, Giri's, in Little India. So Little India is a place full of Tamilians, and there was not much of authentic Tamil food, and therefore setting up the restaurant Giri's makes sense, serving authentic Tamil food on traditional banana leaf. Customers loved the food. Very soon, word spread about the good quality food served in the traditional way. Giri Rajan expanded operation, recruiting 10 employees, all Tamils. 6 months later, Giri Rajan realized that a lot of Kannadiga and Telugu customers started visiting the restaurant. See, lot of does not mean. See, suppose if you have thousand Tamilians coming to your restaurant, and you have, let's say, 30 to 40 Kannadigas and Telugu customers, that doesn't mean that the proportion, this is very high compared to 30 and 40. You might say lot of. Lot of is a very vague term. It's not a mathematically correctly quantified term. Lot of could mean 10, it could mean 20, it could mean 100, it could mean 1,000, we don't know. So a lot of Kannadiga and Telugu customers started visiting the restaurant along with Tamil friends. One day, a Kannadiga customer looking for Devangiri dosa suggested that it may not be a bad idea for Giri Rajan to serve Karnataka and Andhra cuisines. Fine. So it's a good suggestion. With time, the popularity of the restaurant kept soaring. As a result, a lot of Malays, Indonesians, and Chinese started visiting the restaurant. His software engineer friend advised to cater to customers of all nationalities. But we must understand that the Indonesians, Chinese, and others are coming not to have food of their country, but they are loving the Tamil food available there. So it is not, in fact, the USP of Mr. Giri is his Tamil cuisine, which is served on authentic, banana, or which is in where he serves authentic Tamil food on banana leaf. So it is this thing that is attracting the Malays, Indonesian, Chinese, and not. So I think that you are the friend, the software engineer friend, is basically giving him not the wrong or not the right suggestion. He's advising him to cater to all customers of all nationalities. That means basically you change the menu and then you lose your USP, which may not be a right decision according to me. Despite his desire to go grand, Girirajan realized he did not have enough money to get extra space anywhere, and banks were also reluctant to lend. So, of course, he cannot go ahead with this suggestion by his friend. One day, while assessing the business, he realized that the restaurant had 90% occupancy rate during peak hours and 40% during the non-peak hours. Both figures were increasing with time. That means basically the occupancy rate was 90%, and during so this is one of the conditions given. Which of the following options would be more suitable for the growth of business? So that he has to grow the business, there is not much of space, the banks are relatively so big, so he cannot do much about the expansion part. One says include Karnataka and Andhra cuisine. So this is a big, this looks a very good choice. It's not a good choice because there is lack of space, there is lack of money, and the reason why people are visiting your restaurant is because you're offering authentic Tamil food on banana leaf, and that is what is the USP. And now the you say that to grow the business, I should move away from my USP and start including Karnataka and Andhra cuisines. No, this may not be a good choice according to me. It's not a good because the USP has to be maintained. And again, we don't have the figures about Karnataka and Andhra cuisines. I mean, how many Kannadigas and Andhrites are visiting? We don't know. I mean, maybe 10, 20, 30, 40. And for them, you will basically change the entire menu. Same goes with option 2 as well. The figures are not known to us. The percentage figures are not known to us. We cannot come to a decision just based on the term a lot of. Malays and China. A lot of is not a very scientific figure to me. Keep the focus on Tamil food only with an increased focus on quality. Of course, because if he keeps the focus on Tamil food, definitely he would maintain the USP, and further quality improvement will get more customers because this is already firing for him. Expand to include either Karnataka or Andhra. So the way 1 and 2 has gone out, even 4 also. Why should you have either Karnataka? Why can't both? Right? So going by elimination, 1, 2, 4, and 5 are the same choices. I mean, there is not much of a difference between option 1, 2, 4, and 5. So if I choose 1, why not 5? If I choose 2, why not 4? 3 is the best choice because that way he sticks to his strength. And we don't have enough evidence about the non-Tamilians visiting his place as to what is the figures and what is their preferences. We don't know. So why should we take the risk unnecessarily? When already he does not have enough money to go for extra space and there is scarcity of space. 3 is the best choice. Let's go and take the next question. It says here that Giri Rajan started, I will just scroll it down a little here. Right? Yes. Girirajan started analyzing his quarterly customer data to assess growth opportunities. He discovered that 20%. Now, this is a good figure. Now, this is scientific. A lot of is not a scientific word, it's just a vague term. 20% of his customers are Kannadigas, and many of them were requesting for a few Karnataka dishes. He was not sure if it was a good idea to serve Karnataka food. He wanted to experiment before taking the final call. Which of the following options will be worth experimenting? Of course, now we have to we have the figures. 20% are Kannadigas. They are requesting for few Karnataka dishes. So you must experiment, and which would be the best experimentation for a fortnight. Introduce Karnataka food day every week to please okay, can be considered. Recruit a few Kannadiga waiters to. Anyways, the Kannadigas are visiting in spite of the waiters not being there. So how can this basically? I mean, you should experiment with the menu, not with the waiters. 2 goes out. Rename a few Tamil dishes. Renaming the dish is not going to do the wonders. I mean, it's again a ridiculous choice. So serve Karnataka dishes as and when requested by customer without the menu. If the menu does not display, then people will not know about it. Maybe the Kannadigas themselves will not. The only ones who request will get the dish. The ones who don't know but would like to have the meal but they won't request, they would miss out on that. So again, it's not a very good way of experimenting. Add a few Karnataka dishes to the cuisines and display these in the separate menu. Of course, this is the best choice. I mean, what is the difference between 1 and 5? Introduce a Karnataka food day every week. Out of 1 week, only 1 day, and you are experimenting. So that means in a fortnight, only 2 days. Would that be enough time for experimentation? No. You must experiment daily. So only then a fortnight would be enough. You will have 15 days of sample to come to any kind of firm conclusion. So 1 is not giving you enough time period. 5 is giving you, and therefore the best experimentation. 5 is the right choice. Easy question, I would say. Let's take the 37th one. Giriraj experimented with Karnataka food for a fortnight. He collected sales data for Karnataka food along with the trend of overall sales for the last 7 days. Which of the following data sets, if true, would give Giriranjan greater confidence? So the Karnataka food had been experimented, and then it was experimented for 7 days, right? And then which of the following data sets would give him the greatest confidence? So I must see some kind of growth or some kind of the figure must give me some insight. So 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19 with the total sales trend increasing by 4. So it's good. You had 15 and then basically 20 at the end. So there is an increase, gradual increase. It looks good. I can shortlist one. There is no improvement. So again, this is discouraging. 50, then 47, 44, 40. So this is in fact worse than 3. I mean worse than 2. Very discouraging. 45, 44, 43, 42. From 45, I go to 39. So again, this is discouraging. From 20, I go to 50, again to 10, again 45, again 14, again 13. So this is again the total sales trend coming down. So again, this is not a very good, I mean, it's not giving me encouragement. Option 1 is the best choice. I mean, this is the one, this is the figure that will give me the maximum confidence, the greatest confidence, right? 37 for 1 is the right choice. Easy question. As a newly started organization in the IT sector, Saksha Saksha IT is a fast growing 400 employee organization. Its head Saksha Kumar believes in building an organization driven by humility. Which of the following policies would best help him achieve that? So humility is the thing that is driving the organization, or that should drive the organization as per Saksha Kumar. So the question says, which of the following policies would help him achieve that? That means inculcate humility in the employees. Employees shall, in their annual evaluation form, be asked to acknowledge three of their shortcomings, overcoming which will make them better. So if the employees are acknowledging their shortcomings, I think definitely they would that would make them more humble. So it's a good choice, not a bad one. Let's look at the others. Employees shall be asked to share their with their peers three shortcomings they had noticed about their peers. But if they are noticing about their peers, that is not going to make them humble. I mean, you are basically finding flaws in others. I think humility would come if you find flaws in your own self, right? That's the way you can be humble. I mean, finding flaws in others is again basically pointing fingers at others. So I doubt if two is going to make them more humble, right? Because this anyways happens in all organizations, people pointing fingers at others, right? So I doubt if that is the right way of inculcating humility. Let's look at three now. The immediate superiors would suggest three shortcomings. Here's about again superiors suggesting shortcomings to subordinates is again a way. Humility will not come like this. I mean, what is the difference between option two and option three? In option two, others are pointing fingers at one set of employees are pointing fingers at the others. In option three, your superiors are pointing fingers at you. So there is not much of a difference between the two. And I think you would be humble if you introspect about your own shortcomings and shortfalls. So three is not going to serve the purpose. Everyone beginning with Saksha shall be asked to share three of their weaknesses in a public forum. This looks good because when you are doing it in a public forum, see, publicly will make you more humble. This needs greater humility, or rather more courage, because you are admitting. See, pointing fingers at others and finding faults in others does not need that much courage. But definitely, when you are expressing your own weaknesses on a public forum, that is, I think, definitely that will make you humble. So, fourth is a good choice if I go by the options. Fifth one says employees shall be asked to overcome three shortcomings in the following year. But overcoming shortcomings in the following year, improvement, if notice, would attract rewards. Employees shall be asked to overcome three shortcomings in the following year. But overcoming shortcoming and making them humble is again not connecting with the paragraph, right? So fifth is not a good choice because if I compare one and four, option one says that employees shall in their annual evaluation form be asked to acknowledge three. So the employees are acknowledging three weaknesses in a form. That means they are doing it secretively. See, if I ask you to put three shortcomings on a form, you would do it happily. But if I ask you to express your three shortcomings in a public forum, I think that would take courage. And therefore, this will teach you more about humility than option one. Four is a better choice because you are doing it publicly. Second question. This is the last DM question, and the other questions. There are six questions. One set having three questions, and the other set having three questions. I think are from LR category. So 43, 44, and 45 are from LR category, and therefore I will not solve because these are not decision making questions. I think I'm right. And 41, 42 are decision making questions, right? 41, 42 are decision making questions, and I think there are three more questions which are not in that category. So we have solved almost all the questions, barring I think the LR questions, and I think that's enough for us to get a good idea about how to approach the DM section. Now let's look at this question, the last question. Principal Maheshwari of Bing School of Management is facing a problem that calls for quick action. She received an anonymous mail one day, possibly from one of the students, complaining about outdated syllabi, mediocre teachers, and poor choice of course. So this is a school of management, and there is anonymous mail. This could be a prank as well. This could be uh, a way to malign. I mean, see, not everyone. Just because I receive anonymous mail telling me that the syllabus is outdated and the teachers are me doesn't mean that this is actually the truth, because because first of all there is anonymity maintained by the sender of the mail, and secondly one anonymous mail may not always reflect the truth. So what is the course of the action for the principal? She should invite students to discuss any problem openly. Makes sense. One on one in small groups, promise to act on them but firmly condemn the culture of anonymous mails. That makes sense. Why? Because this kind of thing, might spread more and more rumors, and it might leave a bad taste. So one looks good. Why? Because on the one hand she is actually not taking the mail very lightly, she is taking it somewhat seriously. At the same time she is saying that, instead of writing anonymous mails, let's have an open forum. That way people would be more open, and there would be more substance to the claim made by someone about syllabi, teachers and poor courses. So many a time people might be, bad mouthing secretly, and that bad mouthing may not be justified. But if it is done openly, then I think the truth might come out. So on the one hand she is not taking the mail very seriously, and on the other hand she's not taking it very lightly either. Option one is a good choice. Two, she should update the students about the efforts the institute is taking in dispersing hiring. So this is also good choice, but it is not. But it is taking the letter very seriously, forgetting that the letter also could have been a prank or a trick or a joke or some kind of maligning action taken by someone. So one also does that thing. Apart from that, one goes a step ahead and condemns the culture of anonymous mails, which must be condemned. Because if there is any shortcoming, it must be communicated either one to one or through the right way, but not by anonymous mails. Two goes out. Should convene a meeting of the faculty at the earliest and get them work on updating syllabi. Again, the same problem. You are resolving the matter, but the better way would be to basically talk to the student, because the problem is at the student's end. And if there is really something serious about it, then this action can be taken. This action basically takes the letter all too seriously, right? He goes out. She should convene a meeting of the faculty and talk about the letter as a symptom of deeper malaise, ask them to update the syllabi. The students must be confronted first, because the problem is known to them and they might be able to shed more light on the problem, and then we can go and convene a meeting. So this should be the second step. The immediate step should be to take step number one. Ignoring the letter would be a fatal mistake if it goes out. So one is the best choice, I think, and I think it's the right choice. So people, we have solved all the DM questions. I think I have solved almost 15 questions, and we have found that out of 15 questions, almost 11 to 12 were doable.